And then on the other side, we have what's known as a contractionary policy. So actually, I'm going to do this one in a slightly different order than I did the last one. So I'm going to start, in this case, I'm going to start with the problem, and then we can show what the solution is, okay? Well, at least what a typical Keynesian kind of solution would be. Okay, so let's suppose you have the opposite problem. In this case, your economy is expanding too fast. So your economy is here. So the problem, we got inflationary pressure. So we got inflationary pressure. If our equilibrium was at A, this is showing a situation of inflationary pressure. Remember, this is here is our price level. I forgot to label my last graph. Sorry about that. You can go back and label it. So our economy is expanding too fast. In fact, our short-run equilibrium is above our potential GDP. So we'd have a super low unemployment rate. And in this case, it seems like we have lots of pressure on wages and other prices to rise. And so the Fed, at least this would be like the traditional look at this, they would say, well, if we leave this alone, we might lead to high inflation. So instead, we could try to restrict this aggregate demand a little bit, and that would slow this economy down and make it a more sustainable growth path. Okay, so in this case, what are they going to do? Well, think about it for just a second. Maybe pause here. So yeah, they're going to do the opposite. So in this case, they're going to sell the T-bills. Okay, and the banks lose reserves. And so as the banks lose reserves, they make less loans, as we saw. So I'm writing this again. I know it's kind of redundant, but it helps you to remember, and also it connects to what's going on here. So this is less loans is going to increase interest rates. And when you have increased interest rates, then you're going to get a reduction of investment spending. And you're also going to get some reduction of consumption if people consume through borrowing. In the US economy, again, that's a quite important part of consumption spending is from borrowing. So this is decreasing the aggregate demand. So this would be a typical policy. I'm not drawing it all the way back just because I don't want you to get the idea that the Fed is perfect and can put everything exactly where it wants to be. But this is the idea. So this final result of this policy is then this decreases aggregate demand, right? A shift to the left. And so this slows the economy down and puts us closer to this long-run equilibrium. So instead of being way over there, we end up here. Okay, and the point of this is, well, we get less inflation than if left alone. And in the last case, it was that we were getting less unemployment than if left alone, right? Or at least done faster. And this is keeping the inflation relatively low. So this is the two policies that the Fed does. Right now, the Fed has been in this raising interest rate kind of mode, as it worries that the economy is getting beyond our long-run supply a little bit. But it's sort of in a wait and see, because it's also very cautious since we've just come out of a big recession, not so many years ago. But yeah, this is kind of where we're at now, where we've seen interest rates being raised over the last few years, and now we're sitting in this kind of holding pattern, waiting to see what's going to happen. Hopefully that's clear. We'll come back to it in some other videos.